Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
In a move that's likely to further anger China, a bipartisan delegation of Japanese lawmakers are now all set to visit Taiwan. And this visit comes weeks after the visit of US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the recent visit of a bipartisan delegation of US lawmakers, both Democrats and Republicans. What's the message here? Whether it's the United States in the West or Japan in the East, democracies are standing with a democratically elected government in the Republic of China or Taiwan. And China clearly unlikely to be all too pleased with these developments. After Nancy Pelosi's visit, China announced a series of military drills and exercises around Taiwan Straits, in a way blockading Taiwan. But then another delegation came and China intensified those exercises. Now, when a Japanese delegation comes, will China further escalate these exercises? And that's the apprehension. The democratic world appears to be pushing back against an expansionist force. There is also a massive air power exercise that's being
Bengaluru Road renamed after Savarkar. Mumbai's top man distributes Savarkar books. BJP on rampage over Tipu Sultan. Battle for Karnataka over long gone icon. Big time Nataka over Savarkar versus Tipu. Is Savarkar Karnataka's new poster boy?
So it's not just a fluke, it's not just a flash in the pan. It's been 4 days of non-stop Savarkar dominating the headlines in Karnataka. There's a lot else happening in this state, but the headlines you see are dominated by Savarkar. The ruling party, the opposition party, everyone's either talking about it, protesting about it, or having a fight about it. Savarkar from Maharashtra has become a poster boy in Karnataka before the elections, and I'm going to ask the big questions on it. The grandson of Veer Savarkar will also be joining us live here on 5 Live. Thanks for being with me, Shiv Aroor. These are the headlines first. The biggest story of the day, trouble for Manish Sisodia as CBI conducts raids at his residence along with 21 locations across Delhi in the excise policy case. Enforcement Directorate likely to register money laundering case against Delhi's Deputy Chief Minister based on CBI FIR. Suspense over whether Sisodia could be arrested next. Big political face-off over Delhi government's article in New York Times. BJP alleges it's a paid promotion, says the same article was published in Khalij Times. Aam Aadmi Party denies the charge. No end to Chief Ministerial face Nataka in Karnataka. While Chief Minister Bommai's fate hangs in the balance, Kumaraswamy enters the quarrel. Crucial BJP huddle as well today. Outrage over remission of life sentence of Bilkis Bano rape case convicts. Over 6,000 citizens move Supreme Court seeking to revoke the shocking remission. Gandhi statue vandalized in New York City. Second such incident in the last 2 weeks. Statue smashed with a sledgehammer and graffiti scrolled over it. 6 men accused in the vandalism. It's a question that lakhs of people in pole-bound Karnataka must be wondering about. Why has Veer Savarkar suddenly become this very loud poster boy in the politics of the state of Karnataka? From violent clashes, vandalism to a brutal stabbing, the latest flashpoint in the state of Karnataka has erupted over Vinayak Damodar Savarkar's legacy. While the fire looks like it will not be dying down anytime soon, the Savarkar issue is the latest. It's the latest centerpiece in Karnataka as it gears up for assembly elections in 2023. Take a look at where things are at today.
Showdown over Savarkar escalates in Karnataka. From Bengaluru to vast parts of Chikmagaluru, demonstrations hailing Vinayak Damodar Das Savarkar, a Hindutva icon and revolutionary, is spreading like wildfire. In the state capital, his supporters painted a BBMP board naming a road after Veer Savarkar.
This is an official BBMP board. This cement block that you see is an official name tag of the BBMP. But what has happened is, seems like some miscreants have repainted the whole board as Veer Savarkar Road.
BJP MLAs are rallying behind the Savarkar protest. Party MLA Renukacharya joined a Savarkar book distribution campaign in the Vidhan Sauda, the state assembly. In Brahmagiri, Udupi, Hindu groups put on hold their campaign for a day ahead of Janmashtami celebrations and pulled down Savarkar flexes. BJP workers continue to target leader of opposition Siddaramaiah, who has come out criticizing Savarkar and hailing Tipu Sultan, the 18th century ruler of Mysuru. After Kodagu and Hassan, Hindu groups heckled the former CM in Sringeri. They shouted, "Go back Siddaramaiah" slogans. The police have detained the activists in Sringeri.
ಇವರು ಗಾಂಧಿನೇ ಹೊಡೆದಾಕಿದವರು ನನ್ ಬಿಡ್ತಾರ ಗಾಂಧಿನೇ ಕೊಂದಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ರಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಆ ಗೋಡ್ಸೆ ಅಂತ ಒಬ್ಬ ಗುಂಡಿಟ್ಟು ಕೊಂದು ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಗಾಂಧಿನ ಅವನ್ ಫೋಟೋ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಪೂಜೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
Earlier, Siddaramaiah's vehicle was blocked in Hassan, where he faced the flak from Bajrang Dal workers. The protesters threw eggs at the vehicle of the former chief minister. With protests over Savarkar's contribution to freedom struggle escalating day by day, the revolutionary has become a big political issue in the state that goes to polls next year. With Nagarjun Dwarkanath, Bureau Report, India Today.
So let's just show you how this entire Savarkar has become a flashpoint in Karnataka. It began on the 13th of August with a Savarkar poster being violently taken down in Shivamogga district. On 15th of August, violent clashes took place in Shivamogga. One person was stabbed and 4 people were arrested the next day. That is 16th of August. The 4 accused who stabbed the person for that Savarkar poster were arrested by the police. 16th of August, day after Independence Day, Siddaramaiah denounced the Savarkar posters, saying one should not put such posters in Muslim areas. 17th of August, Savarkar flex poster was vandalized in Tumakuru near Bengaluru. 18th of August, violent clashes erupted in coastal Udupi over similar Savarkar posters. 18th of August, once again, protesters threw Savarkar posters and eggs at Mr. Siddaramaiah in Kodagu district of Karnataka. 19th of August, that is today, Renukacharya, MLA of Karnataka and the top aide of the sitting Chief Minister, Mr. Bommai, he distributes Savarkar books in the Vidhan Sauda. So clearly, this is not just fringe activity, this is something that is taking place by design. Savarkar has become more than just a poster boy in Karnataka ahead of the elections. Nagarjun Dwarkanath, who's been reporting on all the different things that have been taking place today. Nagarjun, a road has been renamed after Savarkar. Books are being distributed by Renukacharya. Clearly, there is a method to all this madness. There is a design by which the BJP in Karnataka has decided to embrace Savarkar as a symbol in this election.
Shiv, that is true. In fact, the Savarkar versus Tipu Sultan, Savarkar versus Nehru is not an isolated incident. Like you mentioned, the chronology of the events up to 19th to 30th, it seems like it's an organized agenda that's being done in Karnataka. And for all, it helps the BJP because till now, the Congress was talking about 40% corruption, the law and order situation, the murders that happened in Karnataka. Suddenly, in the 1 week, BJP has taken the narrative or the agenda away from the Congress to Tipu Sultan, to Veer Savarkar, to Nehru, the legacy battle and battles for the icons that have been long gone. So clearly, BJP setting the narrative once again back from the 40% corruption allegations to Savarkar. BJP MLA was seen distributing Veer Savarkar books in Vidhan Sauda. This is not a fringe element or fringe organization doing it. It's a sitting MLA of the BJP party who is doing inside the Vidhan Sauda, inside the secretariat. So it seems like this is a proper plan from the BJP to make sure that this is a hot burning issue until the election, which is Savarkar versus Tipu Sultan. Savarkar is not even a Kannadiga or from the clan of Karnataka. He's
Naga,
the neighboring
Naga, apologies, but the audio is really, really poor. So we're going to try and fix that and come back to you. Pity that we don't have good audio on our prime reporter at this time, but we'll try and fix that in just a moment. Here are the big questions we're asking at this point of time. And we'll get Naga back in on this. And we have, guests on the other side. We're going to talk about this threadbare because in Karnataka, India Today is the #1 channel. And we don't have any shortcuts when it is discussing important issues, and especially when there has been violence in different parts of the state over this one issue. Why is Savarkar suddenly so big in Karnataka? We've shown you through our reports just now that this is no random event. It's happening repeatedly since August the 13th. Has the BJP decided to hold up Veer Savarkar against Tipu Sultan as a kind of Hindu-Muslim metaphor? Why is the Congress so touchy about Savarkar? Why is Siddaramaiah saying don't put up Savarkar posters in Muslim areas and things like that? Has the Congress mainstreamed the extreme views on someone like a Savarkar and in doing so normalize the violent reactions against it? Doesn't Karnataka, and this is truly a question that I'd like to ask through our coverage, doesn't Karnataka have bigger issues than Savarkar and Nehru and Tipu Sultan and all the other historical figures? Wait till the end of this show and I promise you, I will prove to you what those issues really are. Sagai Raj is live with me from Bengaluru, for a quick word on the protests that are being taken out today, Sagai, by the Congress party. They're protesting today over the attacks on Mr. Siddaramaiah in Kodagu yesterday. Eggs were pelted at him. Savarkar posters were thrown into his car, for two reasons. One, because he had said don't put up Savarkar posters in Muslim areas, and also because he is perceived to be someone who has propagated Tipu Jayanti when he was the chief minister. Very sensitive issue in the district of Kodagu, and the Congress is protesting against that today.
Absolutely, and this is not something new for Karnataka. In 2018, much before the assembly elections, we had seen a similar kind of polarization where the BJP leaders had protested in Mangalore against Tipu Sultan. So when it comes to Congress party and when Congress is in power, it is Tipu Sultan. When it comes to BJP, they come up with a new issue, and this time it was Savarkar, which is making headlines in the state of Karnataka ahead of elections. But how far they are going to convert this into votes is a big question, because large people are unhappy with this government, especially when it comes to corruption charges and other stuff. But rather than concentrating on important things, the government is talking only about hijab, only about halal and various other issues, which is not actually a concern for the middle class people in the state of Karnataka. So we need to wait and watch how it is going to help the parties in the days to come when elections are nearing in the state.
Okay, thanks very much, Sagai, for joining us on that. Joining me live now from Bengaluru is the chief of the Karnataka Youth Congress, Mohammad Harris Nalapad. He is the chief of the Youth Congress in Karnataka. He's the one who's organized these protests and is leading the protests as well. Nalapad, welcome. Thank you for your time on this day. I know you're busy with the protests that are taking place today. What are you making, Nalapad, of this entire fight over Savarkar versus Tipu Sultan that's going on right now?
Thank you, Shiv, for having me on the show. I would like to start by saying this is uncalled for, right? We, as the youngsters of this country and the state, we have to hide its failures, trying to divert all these issues under what their failures are. Now, where it comes to Siddaramaiah ji, such a senior leader, a chief minister who has actually delivered whatever he had promised, one of the few in the country, such a senior leader, when he is going, they are throwing Savarkar's photo into his car. They are throwing, I repeat the word, they are throwing. So that's all respect they have for Savarkar, and they are throwing eggs at the car. So if I respected somebody, I would never throw their photo. So this clearly shows that they have zero respect for Savarkar, zero respect for any of the things that is happening. They just want to divert the issues. They want to divert their failures. They don't want to show that what they have done. The people that are watching this are very clear. They understand what is happening and they're trying to divert. And we, the Youth Congress, today have held a protest across the state. And today we wanted to peacefully protest and send eggs to every one of the BJP ministers and say that we belong to the family of Congress and we belong to the Ahimsa side. And we want to make sure that no himsa is happening on anybody. And they didn't allow us to do our protest also. They arrested us and put us inside and took us away. I'm trying to say, when the incident happened, there was a police officer standing right there and they couldn't arrest those people at that time or stop them at that time. But when we want to protest and we want to show our anger, we are not allowed.
Nalapad, the anger against Siddaramaiah, and I'm playing devil's advocate here. Tipu Sultan is a very sensitive issue in the Kodagu district. Couldn't it be the anger of people about the perception that Siddaramaiah has been a propagator of Tipu Jayanti, it's inappropriate, and that's where this anger is coming from? Or do you think it's just purely political?
See, Shiv, the beauty is in the beholder's eyes. The guy who looks at it, how they look at it is most important. Now, if you ask, according to me and my wish and what I have learned in school, I don't think anything wrong in Tipu Sultan. Rather, whatever the history, what has been happened, what has been taught to us, today they are trying to change the history. Siddaramaiah ji is a leader, a chief minister who has served the country served the state for 5 years. Now you cannot disrespect such a person, and you have all the right to protest against anybody you like, but not harm or attack anybody. Democracy gives us the right. The constitution gives us the right to have a freedom, show a black flag. It is your choice. But not throw things at people, try to harm these people, hit eggs on people. How many people don't have food to eat and you're throwing egg at people? Is this the culture? This is what I would like to ask the RSS and the BJP people.
One final, just two more questions with you, Nalapad. One is, when Mr. Siddaramaiah reacted to the whole Shivamogga incident and said it is wrong and the people who are to be blamed are those who had put up these Savarkar posters in, the so-called Muslim areas in Shivamogga. By saying something like that, do you think that was in a way also normalizing the extreme reactions to the posters? Because you're saying it's wrong to do something like that.
See, what I'm trying to say, Siddaramaiah ji, the way he meant it was not what the media has taken it. The reality is that he said that the poster was placed there to create issue. That is what he tried to say. The poster was placed in a thickly populated Muslim area so that somebody reacts and such an incident happens. He didn't say don't post in Muslim area. He didn't.
Okay. Okay, I think there's Nalapad is obviously in a car and heading somewhere, so we've lost a bit of that link, but we've got the substance of what Mohammad Haris Nalapad has basically told us. The Karnataka Youth Congress is flexing muscle today on behalf of Mr. Siddaramaiah, the former chief minister who came under attack as captured in those pictures. Now, with Savarkar established to have become something of a political poster boy in Karnataka and no longer just some kind of fringe activity by Hindu fringe groups, but by the ruling party itself. Because you've got a road that has been renamed after Savarkar overnight in Bengaluru. You've got books about Savarkar being distributed by a prominent MLA in the Vidhan Sauda. I'm joined now by Ranjit Savarkar, the grandson of Vinayak Damodar Savarkar and a successor of the freedom fighter. Ranjit ji, thank you for being with me. Quick number of questions that I want to ask you and then we'll begin our political face-off. Ranjit ji, what do you think of your grandfather, Veer Savarkar, becoming a political hot potato, political flashpoint in Karnataka?
See, it was quite common till date that becoming Savarkar issue of political controversy. Rahul Gandhi started it. And I should remind you that before that Indira Gandhi always used to praise Savarkar. So this attack on Savarkar's image is purely for political this one. But what has happened in Shivamogga is very disturbing. Now that verbal attack has turned into a physical assault. One person has died and this is expanding. So I condemned it and I strongly suspect that this attack has been motivated by the anti-national forces because Savarkar's ideology is most relevant in today's time.
Sir, you know, Siddaramaiah, the former chief minister, the Congress leader, says don't put Savarkar posters up in Muslim areas. He obviously meant it from a kind of law and order perspective. But, you know, that has been interpreted to be appeasement and normalizing of extremist views about Savarkar. What do you think about that?
See, that is because the Congress has become a communalist and Savarkar throughout this one, he opposed Pakistan, he opposed jihadi forces, he never opposed Muslims. One of his closest lieutenants, Sir Sikandar Ayat Khan, who later was governor of Bengal also. So Savarkar was never anti-Muslim. Savarkar's only advice to everybody was keep your religion in your home. Don't oppose others' religion, don't force conversion and respect others and behave as an Indian national. So what is wrong in that? This message of Savarkar goes to the Indian Muslims and I believe Indian Muslims are patriotic. I am not talking about the jihadi Muslims. The jihadi Muslims will always oppose Savarkar.
What would Vinayak Savarkar, sir, have said about the current politics in his name? It has obviously escalated since the time around Independence Day. What would he have said about this current politics?
See, Veer Savarkar wrote Hindutva in 1923. He foresaw it that the Muslim League is becoming a separatist and they are going to demand for a separate this one based on the religion. And the conversion movement was going on very strongly. Swami Shraddhananda, who opposed the conversion movement, was killed, if you remember the history. So Savarkar's view was every person has got right to exercise his own religion, but that is to the, it should be confined to your personal life, to your home. You should never bring your religion outside on the street. You should never force conversion and you should respect others. That is the only thing. And he said outside your home, you are an Indian citizen. And as far as Savarkar's Hindutva was concerned, it was nationalist. He never even believed in God. If you, Savarkar's personal religious opinions, if you consider them, he never believed in God. He never believed in ritualistic religions.
Sir, because, you know, the Congress says the two-nation theory was originated by Veer Savarkar. How would you respond to that? You know, many people have seen Indira Gandhi's letter venerating and eulogizing Savarkar. But now the Congress has kind of amplified the suggestion that your grandfather was the originator of the two-nation theory.
See, this is Congress is saying it again and again. Two-nation theory was put forward by Sir Syed Ahmad in 1883, before the birth of Savarkar. This is the most ridiculous thing. In 1930, Iqbal forwarded it again. So this is a clear fact mentioned in the history. Why they are saying, I don't know. See, it is a Goebbels policy. You utter a lie 100 times, then it becomes a truth. And we are denying it time and again.
Final question, sir. Do you think a new generation of Indians is discovering Savarkar through all these politics? For many people, Savarkar may be an obscure name. Do you think they are discovering Savarkar through these headlines and these politics and this violence?
Yes, because earlier what has happened in media, I'm not talking about electronic media. Earlier there was only print media, and that was controlled by the government. Now social media is free for everybody, and I will recommend young viewers to read the constitution proposed by Hindu Mahasabha in 1945. It is almost the same as the constitution written by Ambedkar in 1950.
Okay.
So the constitution of Hindu Sabha is purely a secularistic. That is available today. Vikram Sampath has referred it to in his book. So
yeah, we had him on our show.
Then you should make your own opinions about Savarkar secularism or whatever his religious views are.
Okay, Ranjit Savarkar, thank you very much for speaking to India Today. That was Veer Savarkar's grandson speaking, in many ways defending the legacy of his grandfather and taking questions about the current politics over it. Let's go straight into the political face-off over what has become one of the most divisive freedom fighter figures from history, and now specifically and unusually, it has become a flashpoint in Karnataka. Lavanya Ballal, spokesperson of the Congress Party, Mohan Krishna of the BJP. Welcome to you both. Good to have you on the show. Let's go straight first to Lavanya. Lavanya, on the 13th of August, when Veer Savarkar posters began emerging in Shivamogga, one would have thought that it's it could be just a random event, because one sees this kind of thing. It's, Independence Day week and things like that. But the events over the last 72 hours have shown that there appears to be a political design to it, because Veer Savarkar books are being distributed. We've reported how a road has been renamed after Savarkar overnight as well. Clearly, Savarkar is a political tool right now ahead of the elections. Your leader, Mr. Siddaramaiah, came under attack yesterday as well on this.
Good evening, Shiv. Absolutely, you are right. It is a political design. I will say this because from the August 13 onwards, if you look at the systematic way, BJP has been inciting the people in Karnataka and CM Bommai's failure to appeal for peace. And also on August 15th, if you look at all the print ads that came out, there was Veer Savarkar's photo without Nehruji's photo. This entire thing was designed by the BJP to keep Mr. Savarkar in news. Right now, BJP is using Mr. Savarkar as a distraction from their administration failure. With elections just 7 months down the line, BJP has nothing to talk of in terms of administration, in terms of development. So that is why they are bringing in Mr. Savarkar as a distraction. And the attack on Siddaramaiah ji, a former CM and the CLP of the Karnataka state, shows how weak their law and order system is. Yes, the attack happened multiple times yesterday and today. After the Home Minister has given a statement last evening that there will be strengthened security for the CLP, he goes to Chikmagalur. And what happens? There is a repeat of the same incident.
Yeah.
This Home Minister has been a failure. Time and again, he only comes up and says, okay, we will, ensure that henceforth these incidents do not happen. But look at it. His own people had gerawed his house and demanded that he resigns. Their own party workers are not safe in Karnataka.
Okay.
And time and again, you will see BJP coming up and saying, oh, Mr. Siddaramaiah ji pardoned SDPI. Our question is, in the last 3 years when they were in power, why didn't they ban SDPI? What have they done to ensure people who have died?
Okay, let's take this one issue at a time. We'll come to the PFI SDPI issue also in just a moment. Mohan Krishna, answer that same question. The let's be very clear. I don't think there's anything wrong with Savarkar being a political, tool or a debate or a conversation. All that, is, chalta hai in Indian democracy. But why suddenly in Karnataka, sir? The Congress is accusing you of this being used as a diversionary tactic. Why is Savarkar suddenly coming up in Karnataka in so many places?
Good evening, Shiv. Shiv, one thing I would like to mention to you. Savarkar is a soft target from the Congress side. The bigger target is Hindutva and Hinduism. That is their target, and they are targeting that. We are standing for the Hindutva and Hinduism, and we will stand by for that forever. Let me tell you, this is not a design, as Lavanya was saying, that in the Independence Day advertisements also, the caricature was given in such a beautiful way to give a creative nature to Nehruji and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Lal Bahadur Shastri, and Rani Lakshmi Bai also. Let me tell you one thing. In Kannada we say, yellow eyes always see yellow things only. That is, jaundice होते हैं ना, जब jaundice होते हैं तब जो भी आप देखते हैं सब येलो ही दिखते हैं. इसीलिए तो मैं बोलता हूँ कांग्रेस को इतना ही दिखते हैं कि कर्नाटका में अब सावरकर का इशू ले रहे हैं.
But sir, but one second. I take your point. I take what you're saying, Mohan Krishna. But I'm saying that Savarkar has suddenly come up. It has come out of nowhere. Usually you hear about Savarkar politics being played out in Maharashtra, maybe in the national capital as well. Why in Karnataka suddenly?
Let me tell you, Shiv. It is not in Karnataka for the first time it is happening. Savarkar issue is happening from last 15 years, in fact. When Tipu Sultan issue, Siddaramaiah propagated as the chief minister, there was no Tipu Sultan Jayanti earlier, if you have observed it. After Siddaramaiah became the chief minister, just for the appeasement of the Muslims, he wanted to do that. And there is one more thing I would like to add today. Siddaramaiah is a very bad guy who is against the science of the Mysore. He is against the science of the Mysore, Chief. So for that matter, he wanted to make Tipu as the, not Wadayar family or Mysore Sayan family. He wanted Tipu as the, hero of the Karnataka.
Okay.
And very unfortunate. Also, even day before yesterday, when he was talking, he is talking that Muslim area. What can anybody who is...
No, we've asked that question. But Lavanya, the face-off is being structured as a nationalist icon versus, a divisive force, someone who slaughtered Indians, a bigot, Muslim appeasement. That is what this face-off has become in Karnataka. Because Mr. Siddaramaiah has not helped things by making that comment earlier during the the poster showdown by saying one should not put up such posters, in Muslim areas. And therefore, he is under attack in this way.
I think Nalapad answered this question when he explained what Siddaramaiah ji meant by that. He said, why do you give space to unnecessary provocation? Having said that, Shiv, I would like to bring one thing to, the discussion. Mr. Savarkar in his book writes about rape as a political tool. I, as a woman, I will always question people who claim Savarkar as an idol. Is this okay for an idol to propagate rape as a political tool? That is my question. Second thing, and I will stick to this point, Tipu Sultan Jayanti was celebrated, by former CM BSY, Yediyurappa ji, as well as by Jagadish Shettar, right? Jagadish Shettar. So the question is, what does BJP stand on these two leaders celebrating the Tipu Jayanti? We have celebrated the Kanaka Jayanti as well. We celebrate multiple Jayanti. We are for an inclusive society. My question is, why is it that the BJP leaders and the BJP party workers are always angry, always agitated, always upset, always in a victim, they have this victim mentality? What is it that the BJP is taking to the elections? Elections are just 7 months down the line. What are they taking as, their achievements in these 3 years? We would like to know that, because they have no answers for their administration achievement. This is used,
answer that. It's a legitimate question. Answer that. You can answer the multiple questions she's asked. Yes, Mohan Krishna.
Let me tell you, BJP is on developmental path. We talk only development activities. Mr. Modi came and inaugurated around 3,600 crore worth of projects. And we have given Bangalore 17,000 crores urban train, which was pending from last 25 years. Let me tell Lavanya, we have given peripheral ring road also. We are giving metro extension up to Silk Board Junction also to curtail the traffic activities. We are giving in developmental activities. Bangalore,
so she's saying, why are we talking about Savarkar at all then? Shouldn't this be the conversation and not Savarkar? Shouldn't that be the priority and not Savarkar versus Tipu is the question?
Let me tell you, Shiv, for Congress, they don't have anything to talk. They don't have anything to talk. Their leadership is a failure at central level, at state level also. They are infighting with D.K. Shivakumar. They have infighting with MP Patil. They have a list of chief ministerial candidates today. They have a list of ministerial candidates also today, even though they have not come to the power. For them coming to the power is the only issue. Let me tell you today on this show today, it is not possible to come to the power without winning the hearts of the people. BJP is winning the hearts of the people.
Okay.
It is not Savarkar. I told you Savarkar is a soft target. Savarkar is a soft target. The bigger target is Hinduism and Hindutva. We will fight for that, and Congress will never come to power unless they realize that they are doing a biggest mistake in their life.
Lavanya, I'll let you have the last word. The BJP says this is the Congress and its own diversionary tactics over a soft target. It's a rhetorical argument, but you can answer that.
Shiv, I would like to say, with all his, statements that he's making it very clear that BJP's administration has failed. He's basically saying Congress is more powerful in the state, though we are in the opposition. And
sir, let us speak.
They are failing to ensure that the law and order is maintained in the state. Look at the tenure of Mr. CM Bommai. It has been marred by one incident or the other. It has not been a peaceful tenure in Karnataka when CM was Bommai was the I'm so sorry, Mr.
One at a time, sir.
Why do you act so childish?
Mr. Sir, one at a time. We are short of time. Let Lavanya finish her
I
point.
will do the same thing to you, sir. Mohan Krishna, sir, I will do the same thing to you when you're responding. I will keep
finish your point.
talking over you. We can make it a shouting match or we can make it a debate. Please do not get personal.
No. Let's see. We're almost out of time. 30 seconds left for Lavanya,
Thank you
please.
so much for your time, Shiv, and I will reiterate the point. This is just a diversionary tactic, and this is because the BJP has failed as a government in Karnataka.
Okay, I'm going to end the debate there. We'll have to see where this goes because it's pretty clear that Savarkar has become a dominant metaphor and a theme going forward. But the point is there are most certainly bigger issues. This is not to say that the political conversation, the attacks being made are not part of the democratic process. But is there a question of priorities as well is another question that we will be asking at the end of this show. I promise you. Thank you, Mohan Krishna and Lavanya Ballal for joining me on 5 Live. Now remember, on the one side, Karnataka Chief Minister Sagai Raj is busy dousing fires set by his own ministers, while on the other side, we have the Congress leaders fighting among themselves to who will be the chief ministerial face for the Karnataka elections. Whether it's the BJP or the Congress, the Game of Thrones in Karnataka is in truly top gear. Take a look.
A chief minister on the back foot, navigating a series of unexpected rumbles under his chair. Karnataka's Sagai Raj faces a distinct spike in uncertainty over the safety of his chair. But the chief minister can still take heart. At least the speculation over his fate is hush-hush. Unlike the escalating public free-for-all in the opposition Congress party, where just weeks after Rahul Gandhi thought he had forged a truce between the two feuding biggies of the Karnataka Congress, the challenger for the title of chief ministerial face is at it again.
solar park ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಬಿಜೆಪಿ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಏನೋ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಟಿಆರ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹುಡುಕಿ ಪಡ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೋದ್ರು. ಏನೋ ಹೊಡೆದಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತ 15,000 ಎಕರೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ರೈತನ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ಜಮೀನನ್ನು ಅಕ್ವಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ.
But that's only a continuation of his campaign to project himself. That's more bizarre twist to this unfolding Game of Thrones Nataka. After BJP minister set the cat among the pigeons by endorsing rival Siddaramaiah as the next chief minister. Now former CM H.D. Kumaraswamy has taken things further by casting his unsolicited lot with DK.
ನಾನು ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಅವರು ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡಲಿ. ಆ ಭಗವಂತನ ಇಚ್ಛೆನಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿದ್ರೆ ಅವರೇ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಆಗಲಿ, ನನ್ನ ಸಹಕಾರ ಇದೆ.
The support from Kumaraswamy is ironic and crucial. Remember, he was propelled to the CM's chair in 2018 despite his party, the JDS, being the smallest of the players. That was largely due to arrangements forged by DK Shivakumar between H.D. Devagowda and the Congress High Command. Now it seems Kumaraswamy is returning the favor. But for all the chaos in the Congress, the onus is still on the incumbent CM, who has the most to lose. A crucial BJP huddle on Friday will delve into the spike in instability stalking Bommai's grip on power, and could see some big-ticket changes. But what's clear from the last 48 hours is this: whether it's the ruling party or the opposition, Karnataka's Game of Thrones is in top gear. With Priyanka Rudrappa and Sagai Raj in Karnataka, Bureau Report, India Today.
And finally, the year 2022 began with a polarizing headline from Karnataka over hijabs on campus. Over 8 months, the media headlines from Karnataka have been dominated by divisive, communally charged, polarizing stories. Even today, as you can see, the headline from Karnataka is over Savarkar versus Tipu Sultan. Historical figures dominating the visual media landscape from a state that goes to elections in less than 9 months. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting on a high horse here and preaching. I'm fully aware of how I tell these stories every single day. But for one of India's most progressive states, should we shine at least as much light on other issues as well? Is a question that has me thinking. For instance, while talking about the Savarkar violence, why should anyone ignore the terrible potholes on Bengaluru's roads, which kill people every year? While talking about religious politics in school and college campuses, should anyone ignore the historic pollution levels in Karnataka? Did you even know about that? While talking about politics of appeasement over Tipu Sultan, did you know Mysuru faces record scarcity of water and power? While showing you the ugly Chaddi Nataka politics in Karnataka, what about Bengaluru's terrible waterlogging and dead lakes? And while talking about the infighting and bickering and quarreling in the Congress and the BJP in the state before the elections, how about shining the light on Bengaluru's ghastly road infrastructure and terrible, infamous, notorious traffic? I'm not being sanctimonious, and this isn't some monkey balancing. But I think we can all agree, viewer, that it's time for real issues Nataka. And I promise to do my bit.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
Food wastage is not just a social problem, but an environmental one too. It is important to take concrete steps to ensure food wastage is avoided at all costs. Why we shouldn't waste food? When we waste food, we waste the labor, the effort, investment, and precious resources. It also increases greenhouse gas emissions and contributes to climate change. What you can do: reduce. Be more mindful of food you buy what you use, and use it all. Improve food storage and reduce wastage at home. Reuse. If you don't eat everything you make, freeze it for later. Use the leftovers as an ingredient in another meal. Recycle. Recycle as much as possible. Try composting and put nutrients back into the soil. You can also start your own green patch of fruits, vegetables, or herbs. With these easy ways, you can reduce food wastage and become a food hero.
And we've got breaking news coming in on the biggest story of the day that India Today broke: the raids against Manish Sisodia, the Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi. India Today has now accessed the CBI FIR against Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia of the Aam Aadmi Party. Sisodia has been named as accused number 1, accused of alleged irregularities in framing and implementing the liquor excise policy prevalent in the state of Delhi. The CBI FIR says excise policy decisions taken without approval from competent authorities. Manish Sisodia in the FIR is accused of extending undue benefit to licensees. 14 other accused have also been named in this FIR. Meanwhile, Manish Sisodia's personal vehicle is currently being searched. As you can see in the left side of your screen, it's being searched by the CBI. The CBI raid on Sisodia has been underway now for over 9 hours and counting. Let's go straight across to India Today's Munish Pandey on this story. Munish, the FIR names Sisodia and 14 others. His car also is being searched at this point. What's the latest, Munish?
Yeah, well, Shiv, as we broke in the morning that Manish Sisodia is accused number one in this entire case, and now we have the CBI FIR according to which Manish Sisodia is accused number one. And apart from Manish Sisodia, there are 3 government officials and there are other private persons. As far as charges against Manish Sisodia is concerned, remember, the CBI has filed this FIR, and the charges against Manish Sisodia are of criminal conspiracy, falsification of account and undue advantage. Apart from that, he has been booked under Prevention of Corruption Act and also under Section 120B, that is criminal conspiracy, and also substantive offences thereof. So this is a very serious, grave charges against Manish Sisodia. As far as the CBI's raids are concerned, Shiv, remember Manish Sisodia being the accused number one, 7 members of Central Bureau of Investigating Officer, they are still inside Manish Sisodia's residence where I'm standing, and we have been given to understand is that there are several incriminating documents which has been seized by the CBI officials. Also, we have been given to understand is that in these searches, from the residence of one of the government servant, the CBI has seized some confidential documents which were not supposed to be at the residence of that particular accused. So CBI is saying that they have seized some confidential documents. These are going to be incriminating evidence as far as Manish Sisodia is concerned. And as far as these searches are concerned, not only his private vehicle, but the entire house has been searched. We have been given to understand is that some documents, electronic gadgets, including laptop, mobile phones, those things have been seized by the CBI. Now, what will happen next? The next step is going to be CBI will summon Manish Sisodia. His statement will be recorded. But if CBI has got enough evidence, then they are within their power to arrest Manish Sisodia. And trouble will be mounting, for Manish Sisodia, because remember, the Enforcement Directorate is also likely to file a money laundering case against Manish Sisodia. Yeah. So when they will be within their rights to arrest the Minister of Government.
Munish, any light you can throw on the arrest of Manish Sisodia? Is that something that is expected in the next day or so, or is it something that might happen a little later? What are you hearing?
Shiv, I spoke to several officials of Central Bureau of Investigation. What they are claiming at this point of time is that they have a very tight case against Manish Sisodia. The evidences are overwhelming in this case, and based on those evidences, the officers are claiming that there is a high possibility Manish Sisodia will be arrested. But according to the procedure, once these searches are over, then Manish Sisodia will be summoned for questioning. But at this point of time, if CBI is in possession of hard evidences against Manish Sisodia, then they can arrest Manish Sisodia any given point of time. But there is a high possibility that Manish Sisodia will be arrested. When and which agency is going to be arrested, that is $1 million question. But it seems that his arrest is very imminent in this case.
That's a big piece of breaking news that we've brought to you earlier as well. Munish Pandey saying Manish Sisodia's arrest is practically certain. It will happen, maybe in the next couple of days. Whether it's the ED or the CBI that arrests him is not known just yet. But the arrest of Manish Sisodia is a very, very high possibility. Where is Manish Sisodia at this time? Munish, is he inside his residence?
Yeah, well, Shiv, I would request my camera person to show you the visuals of what exactly is happening. You can see this is the main door. Yeah. This is the official premises of Manish Sisodia. It is at Mathura Road in National Capital, very posh area. And this is the official residence, AB 17 Mathura Road. This is the official address. Now, at this point of time, in this very residence, there are 7 officials of the Central Bureau of Investigation. Manish Sisodia and his family members are still inside. We have been given to understand is that Manish Sisodia was requested by the Central Bureau of Investigation to cooperate during the searches. With cooperation, the CBI means that whatever documents they are seizing, whatever they are searching, Manish Sisodia has to be present there at that point of time, because the procedure is whenever you seize a document, then Manish Sisodia himself has to sign the document so that there won't be any allegation that these documents are fabricated or not. So at this point of time, the 7 officers of CBI are very much here. We have been given to understand is that these raids will continue till around 7:30 this evening. And after these raids are over, then only CBI will give a clarity that what exactly and what documents exactly have been seized from the residence of Manish Sisodia and how they are going to proceed ahead in the case, whether he will be arrested or whether he will be summoned for the next day.
Okay. The possible imminent arrest of Manish Sisodia is the big unfolding story outside his official residence in Delhi. We're taking a quick break. Special broadcast continues with Nabila on the other side. Munish is going to continue to be with us from outside Manish Sisodia's residence. Could he be arrested today or over the next few days? The suspense has built up. The raids have intensified. His car is being searched. All of those details live on the ground with Nabila next.
In a first, China has sent their JH-7A fighter bomber to Thailand. China's People Liberation Army Air Force and the Royal Thai Air Force are holding a joint Air Force exercise. The motto behind this exercise is to deepen their military ties and build mutual trust between the forces. The exercise is being carried out under Falcon Strike. This exercise is being held at an RTAF base in northern Thailand near the border with Laos. In the joint exercise, China's 6 J-10C fighter jets, JH-7AI fighter bomber, Shaanxi KJ-500, a warning and control aircraft, are joining Thailand's 5 Gripen aircraft, 3 Alpha Jet attack aircraft, Saab 340 AEW early warning and control aircraft. As per reports, this exercise is the 5th of its kind since 2015. The annual fighter jet exercise was put on hold in the last 2 years due to the pandemic. Thailand purchases and adopts its weapons as per the Western training methods. This will help China understand the Western equipment performances and tactics. Thailand is one of the US's oldest Asian allies. However, their ties were complicated by a military coup in 2014. This training comes as the US holds combat drills in Indonesia with Australia, Japan, Singapore and Indonesia. This will be held in the largest iteration of Super Garuda Shield exercises since 2009.